Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm William. Welcome to SteelMaster Live. Again, I'm William Swafford. I'm one of the design specialists at SteelMaster. I've been here for about 15 years now, working on commercial projects and all the custom work and a lot of international business, as well as the simple backyard shed shops and homes that people want to live in. This is Scott.
Yeah, Scott Matthews. I've been here for 5.5 years. I mainly help people with homes, workshops, garages, a lot of different items. But today we're going to cover the benefits of going with a Quonset Hut, and you can leave questions for us and we'll cover those at the end of our discussion. And we go with the 5 top benefits of building a Quonset Hut. And the first thing, they're disaster resistant. In these buildings, highest concentration of Quonset Huts are in high wind load areas, high snow load areas. We've had buildings survive tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes. They're super strong, and people have sent us stories after going through those events and thanking us for having a SteelMaster building. And then second benefit that people really love about them, they're Clearspan, and there's no trusses, posts, or beams throughout the buildings. That means you can lay out your design any way you wish on the interior. It's an extremely strong design with that arch, which allows that to be Clearspan. They're self-supporting. And like I said, again, the main thing is they're wide open on the interior.
Yeah, one thing I think that's really interesting about that, if you're doing a home, of course, it gives you the ability to put things anywhere you want. You're not encumbered by any framing or bracing like if it was a conventional building or if it had big trusses hanging in there like in a house. The other thing that's important there is that Clearspan space doesn't allow for, if this is an outdoor building, if it's an equipment shed or it's a garage, there's no place for birds to nest up and hang out. I don't know if you've ever been in any pole barn. There's always a bunch of birds hanging out in there doing what birds do. One of the things I really love about this, and I love to always tell people that because nobody thinks that way, but it is an important aspect of the Clearspan thing there. It really is. It's nice just to have that full space and not have to deal with anything in your way if you're doing a shop that has to have certain items in certain places and things of that nature as well. I'm going to also move on into talk a little bit about how these buildings are eco-friendly. SteelMaster uses an 80% recycled steel product, so the coil steel that we're getting from the mill that manufactures for us uses recycled content, of course, in that material. And not only is it good for the environment, of course, it makes it a little more cost-effective as well. The other thing that we talk about with our being eco-friendly is the coating. The Galvalume Plus coating has a reflective quality. They will actually push off some of the heat. It's an Energy Star rated material, and that definitely helps keep the buildings a little bit cooler. And of course, the Galvalume coating gives the building some longevity that you won't get from a galvanized coating or just even the regular Galvalume, not the Galvalume Plus. Of course, the buildings are all steel. Steel is a recyclable material, and that's important if you ever want to think about the next generation of using this building again. If the eco-friendly thing is most important to you, that's a good way to do it. And of course, the energy savings afforded to you by the pushing off of some of that heat from the coating and being able to put up an efficiently manufactured material and product there. Next, I'm not even looking at the questions. I guess we should see. The next thing I would talk about would be the assembly. We kind of just led into that. Ease of assembly is very important, and a lot of the reason why people choose a Quonset Hut. People want to do it themselves. People want to be in control of the project. People are trying to get off the grid, so to speak. Our system is one size nut and bolt. It's a pretty simple methodology. Most people can follow along without any problems. And of course, we have help here. You can call me or Scott. You can call your salesperson, or our customer service department has a fully staffed construction consultant in-house that'll answer any questions that we can that you have. Our ultimate goal always is to make sure your building gets erected and you're using it. If I sell you a building that you can't get up or you're having trouble with, I haven't done my job, Scott hasn't done his job, SteelMaster hasn't done their job. And that's important to us to make sure that you're going to get a building that not only solves your problem, but that you can actually get it together, use it, and of course that's going to spark an interest from a neighbor or a friend or something else that's going to say, hey, where'd you get that? And maybe we sell another building. It's a win-win, as we like to call it there. You want to add to that anything, Scott?
No, I think you covered that pretty well.
The other thing that some people ask about a lot is, are these buildings portable? Can they be moved? That's an interesting question. The term permanent structure versus a non-permanent or portable structure is really going to be defined by your county. If you need permits or you don't need permits, again, this is something that we can't usually tell you. You'll have to look locally and find that out. Now, we do manufacture a number of products, and one of them happens to be what we call a liftable portable structure. So if you had a project that you wanted to be able to, say, pick the building up with a crane and set it off, to be able to move a pump or an engine or a motor or a giant part to a ship that needs to be sandblasted, we do that. We've done it many, many times, and it's especially, product, but of course it's something we can do. If you mean, can I set up my SteelMaster building on a job site, work for 2 years on this site, and then take it down and move it to the next job site? Absolutely, that's also something that our system allows for, that most conventional steel buildings don't allow for. You want to be able to take the building apart using nuts and bolts rather than screws like a conventional building is used. Once you unscrew those panels, the panels are shot, you have to throw them away. With our panels, you can you reassemble the building with new nuts and bolts, or at least new washers when you do that, and we can help you think about that ahead of time, or you can order the bolts later. Portable building is certainly an option. It's kind of a unique option that we have, and we don't sell a lot of them, but it is out there for you if that's something that you want to talk about or think about.
And another plus with these buildings is they're super simple to add to the length of the building. There's not much you can do with the width of the building once it's put up, but in 2-foot increments you can add to the length and go with unlimited lengths on these buildings.
So do we have any, we don't have any actual questions coming in, it doesn't look like, so maybe, hopefully we've got some people tuned in. I guess the thing to do maybe now would be talk about some projects that we've done in the past. And just kind of give you maybe just a general sense of what we do. I think I kind of touched on it in the beginning. We handle things everywhere from simple backyard sheds to the roofs on grocery stores and airport buildings and all kinds of different things. Project big or small, we can typically at least give you some direction in that first phone call, whether it's something we can handle or not, or if it's something that we can do for you. It does look like we've got a couple of phone calls. Hey Tony, hey Kelly, how are you today? You want to? I want to touch Tony's and see what you got there. You see that?
Yeah. See, Tony's questions. Can you talk briefly about delivery requirements on the job site? I've talked to a competitor on specific space to offload a steel at a job site. I mean, it's best. It's an 18-wheeler. It's a big truck, so a lot of times they have to have space to turn around. There's not a forklift on the truck. So it's best to have a piece of equipment, a tractor with forks, a forklift, any piece of equipment. The pallets are 2 foot wide, 10 foot long. It's just best to have a piece of equipment there. There's also a lot of clients have called a flatbed tow truck company. They have a 5-ton flatbed tow truck back right up to the truck, winch the pallets off, and then that truck's much smaller and can maneuver on people's property and drop that building just about anywhere on your property that you prefer. So that's another option if you don't have access to a tractor or a forklift.
Yeah, we try not to load the pallets more than about 3,500 pounds. I mean, so usually they're going to be around 3,000 or less pounds. I've had projects where it's back in the mountains or something, and you can literally take a pallet at a time in the back of a pickup truck and work them up into some small places. That's again the beauty of this system is it's in knockdown form. It's pretty small. It's easy to maneuver the pieces and get them into places that maybe you don't have enough room. I've had plenty of job sites in, say, New York City where there's not any room to lay down these things and do it, and you have to build them in small pieces and maneuver around stuff. And our system handles that kind of issue very well. Let's see here. Kelly had a question. Kelly says, what are the strength benefits of Clearspan versus a building with trusses or beams? There's not always a clear strength benefit. Again, the benefit oftentimes there is that space, that usable space, and not having the trusses in the way. Again, the benefit of going against conventional building is being able to construct it yourself versus having to hire a crane operator, a crew that's trained to do it. A conventional building has hundreds of parts, like 15, 20 different fastener sizes and things that you have to figure out if you're trying to do it yourself. It's not as easy as it looks. Our system, again, one size nut and bolt. It's pre-cut, pre-punched. Everything's there for you. There's small, manageable pieces that you can handle by yourself. And I think just that ease of construction is really the bigger benefit over a conventional building.
And just another thing to add on about a conventional building, they use self-tapping screws. I mean, I think we're the only building out there in the market that uses nuts and bolts, and that's a big plus.
Yeah, that is a big plus. So Lauren Ryder asked, will a bank finance a Quonset home? And that's a question you're going to have to ask your bank, Lauren. It's a reasonable question. I think, if you were just trying to do this thing kind of off the grid yourself, you'd have a little more trouble. If you had a formalized plan and drawings from an architect and a loan, trying to get the loan and the property and all that stuff lined up, would be a little bit different, but it would probably have to be the right bank, I guess, is the only advice I would have for you there. We don't do any in-house financing, so of course you're going to have to bring your financing to the table and do that research on your end. But we'll do what we can to help if there's something we can offer to satisfy the bank people about the building or the structure or the engineering of it that will help with the loan process. We'll do whatever it takes typically to help you get it figured out.
Just to add to that about bank financing, it's not real common. People have done it. It's not real common, but to add to what William said, the more you can present to a bank, if you can tell them you're going to get stamped engineer drawings, you have an architect with plans to place in front of a bank, you have much better odds of getting a loan from a bank for a house.
Okay, let's see here. Jeannie's chair caning shop has a new question. Hi, Jeannie. Thanks for watching. I have been thinking about customizing my front and back wall instead of using steel. Is this just as sturdy? Jeannie, that's again the beauty of the SteelMaster. It's a kit that you can kind of customize and do whatever you want with. So the bulk of the buildings that we sell open-ended get closed in by the customers, and we can end up calling that a custom end wall. You can build that wall as strong or as weak as you want. That's going to be on you. I always recommend thinking about 2x6 framing. Again, thinking eco-friendly, being able to put more insulation in there and things of that nature that helps. But most people use a 2x4, simple framing system, or use metal studs and then side it with something that maybe matches their home if it's going in the backyard, or matches another existing building around it. But oftentimes you'll find that the end walls, the customized end walls or build it yourself end walls are going to be easier to deal with because you can now put your openings exactly where you want them and you can dress that building up. If you use the SteelMaster panels, you're going to be relegated to that 18-inch panel spacing. You're going to have to put the door openings and window openings exactly where they fall in our panel breaks, and you can't maybe get them exactly like what you want. So it's kind of a toss-up. We're always glad to give you a price for the end wall and recommend that you take a look at doing it yourself to see if you can have a price benefit there. As far as strength, again, our system is going to be engineered and designed to meet the load and wind and snow load requirements. Whatever you design, you'll have to obviously be responsible for ensuring that it meets any loading requirements.
Kelly asked, how do you customize building for the local weather? Example, Colorado snow loads. Our engineers review every site where these buildings are going to be erected, and the engineer specs out specific gauges of metal to accommodate snow loads, wind loads, and seismic zones. So our engineers take care of that, and you are provided stamped engineered blueprints for your state so you can get a permit.
Okay, it looks like Cameron has a question. Hi, Cameron. Again, thanks for watching. Cameron's question is, what's the difference between a SteelMaster, Quonset Hut, and other buildings of the same style? Cameron, that's the big difference is going to be a lot of the difference, quite honestly, is going to be right here at talking to people like Scott and myself, guys that are experienced doing what we do, that know how to sell these buildings and how to make sure that we're solving a problem and satisfying requirements for your project. Each of the manufacturers that do these have a different style of doing that and have different pieces and parts. Some of the companies have a different coating, some of the companies have a different warranty, some of the companies use a different bolt. You know, we try not to get into specifics of this one or that one. I always recommend that people, you know, make that phone call, consider, you know, taking a look at ours, listening to what we have to say, hear, you know, what we have to offer, and you know, if you're going to be in the market doing your due diligence, you're going to, of course, want to take a look around and see what else is out there. And you know, we always encourage you to you know, give us a shot at it, you know, and let us show you what the real difference is. But I think the support you get on the back end, the know-how and the knowledge and the experience that we offer, and I think we have a superior product as far as our coating, our warranties, our bolts, all the things I mentioned. You know, that's long and short of it. Okay, well, I think that's going to be it for us on this session. We'll certainly let you know again, and appreciate you guys looking at us and talking to us through your things. The website, of course, is SteelMasterUSA.com, and you can see us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all over the World Wide Web.
And the phone number is 800-341-7007. Thank you very much.